go! Let's go! Conquest of Eldinar is here! Wow! Anyways, yeah, okay, so I'm back. Nice to see you guys all back again. We got a lot of content to show off because it's been like 2 months since the last time I did this. You'll know why here in a minute. I'll explain, but we got a lot to get through, so let's get through it quick. And by the way, there's gonna be a massive, exciting announcement at the end of this video, so stick around till the end to see what the future holds for this year. You guys are really gonna be happy about what I have to say. It's gonna be great. All right, so what have we been doing the past 2 months? Well, in February, as you know, anyone who's been following along with the series so far, like the top priority for us has been completing new maps for this game. You can't make a big fantastic fantasy universe without actually having a world to play in and explore. And I'm gonna make a big bombastic statement. Go ahead, leave a comment in the description down below. Also, you should leave a like, obviously, too, by the way. But I'm about to show you 2 of the maps that we've been working on. And me personally, you know, being the narcissist that I am, I think they're fucking fantastic. In fact, I'm gonna go on a limb here and say they are the best. They're the best RTS maps ever made in all of RTS gaming, ever. They're pretty incredible, and I think they're fantastic because of a variety of different reasons. You can see the horizon. There's like multiple layers of like geometry that you can like navigate and jump on and off of. The graphics, the art design, the models, I mean the play space, there's just so many interesting things that you can do, and like the lore and the sound and the creatures and the characters. Without further ado, here is the first map that we worked on in February. This is Avorn Forest. Beautiful ruins and stuff that you can explore and jump around on. We have these really cool, unique creatures that we created called the Merklings, and they are around like the lake, and you have to contend with them. There's also bandits and heroes here that you can interact with. There's a strong inclusion of a day-night cycle too in our game, which is very fun because it dramatically changes the lighting and the playscape. In this map, it's really elevated at night because you get to see like fireflies and stuff like coming in and illuminating the environment in interesting ways. But then during the day, you get like god rays like pouring in through the trees, and it makes our game look super sexy because it is, because I made it. Here's a couple of the props that we made. There's the Champions Guild, which is a prominent like lore location in our game. Cool statues, huts for the creatures, ruins. Like, we've been dumping more and more as each map goes on, more and more into the development of the assets and stuff that go into these maps. Just wait till you see the next map. It gets wild, it gets crazy. A little bit more information about this map. You know, we plan on having interesting and unique mechanics for every map in the game. For Avorn Forest, for example, you will have a choice. You can either side with the champions from the Champions Guild or the bandits. You can hire the Bronze Knight, which you guys know who that is if you've been sticking around this channel long enough. You can actually hire the Bronze Knight as a playable unit in game to join your faction and help you fight. Or you can go down south to the bandit camp and hire the bandit chieftain Thrag, who will also join your side. Each of those 2 units are like a neutral fun unit. You can only have one, and it's a fun little unique map mechanic that is tied specifically to this map, because our playing in this game, every map is an experience, is a unique experience with a unique geography, with a unique layout, with unique hazards and unique map mechanics that make playing on that map itself an event. Going into some other game features that we worked on in February, and it ties directly into this map. Here's a big one: swimming, jumping, fall damage. Pretty cool, right? So with swimming, we're making it so most characters, maybe not like magma fins, for example, I don't see them swimming anytime soon, but characters can swim. You can actually run. You can jump in and cannonball. You can jump off of a cliff into the water. Name another RTS where you get to do this. You get to jump and swim around through the water and then resubmerge on different like islands and lands and whatnot. And it makes, but you know, that also puts you at kind of like a potential disadvantage, because most units, maybe not the Chaturg, but most units cannot defend themselves while swimming in the water. So you are at a potential disadvantage by choosing to travel through the water. But don't worry guys, we will have nice, easily accessible user features on the UI that allow you to enable or disable. Do you want to allow your units to swim? Do you want to allow your units to travel through dangerous areas or jump off of cliffs or something? Like, all of this is customizable, and you will be able to press hotkeys to, you know, when you're trying to navigate your units through these environments. That way they're not accidentally, you know, going places you'd rather them not. You know, we want a lot of user features like that. We really want to push the verticality in our game. So we're also adding like these like platforms and cliffs and different tiers and levels. Like the level of verticality in this RTS is insane. Like I think what we're pushing for is insane. Like, this is really unprecedented. Like, the amount of layers that are in the environment. You know, you're not just fighting on one big open empty canvas, you are fighting on a multi-layered, you know, battlefield that has high areas and low areas and jumping down and like fall damage. You know, it really just completely opens up the possibilities, you know, having like unique, you know, for example, when we get to the Dragonics later, like maybe you know, because they're dragon units and they all have wings, they can like glide off of cliffs. Or for example, the Chaturg units, the lizard men, you know, when we have water, well, maybe they're really fast swimmers and maybe they can attack in water. You know, maybe I was thinking of adding a new spell to the Storm Sage unit for Aranor, like a feather fall spell or something that increases their jump height, you know, because they're all about like birds in the sky and stuff. So, you know, having height and elevation and playing around with that as a game concept inside of an RTS that is, you know, this kind of more micro action pack oriented RTS. You know, this isn't like one of those like large scale ones like Total War. This is a little bit more akin to like Warcraft 3 or StarCraft or something like that. You know, we're much more zoomed in and you're controlling individual units, not the big armies in this game. And I don't think that kind of intimate style RTS has ever had verticality be utilized as a core game mechanic in the way that we are approaching that here. So I'm really excited about that. I think you guys should be too. Another big important thing that I'm sure you guys would be glad to hear, I'll just mention it here real quick, that we did in February. We've been doing some huge optimization passes. Ziad has been working his ass off to get that shit done. So round of applause for this man over here. Thank you so much, Ziad. You're a hero. Yeah, the game is getting more and more optimized. We have made some major strides in that. We have like tripled our frame rate in the past couple of months. We're still not quite where we want it to. Like, ideally, we would love this game to run, you know, 100 million frames a second on even Windows 98 PC. You know, that would be nice. Like we want this thing to run on a potato. We want it to be smooth. We want it to be optimized. That is obviously our goal, and we are making strides there. Is it where we need it to be yet? No. Is it going to get there? Absolutely. You have my guarantee, or you can personally show up to my house and shoot me. So, skipping past that, we started working on the Infernal Ward map. And ladies and gentlemen, viewer discretion is advised. This map is hardcore. Avorn Forest might have been pretty. This is not. hardcore metal-inspired orcs that are the Molten Legion. They don't f around. So the Infernal Ward, canonically, is pretty much like the Gulag. It is one of the worst places in Eldinar. You never want to be there under any circumstance. It is an extremely hardcore environment that is entirely built as a monument to suffering. This is not a place that they send you to get information out of you or to reform you. This is a place that they send to punish you until you die. Probably not going to take that long due to these conditions. I mean, they literally lower people in cages slowly down towards the lava to make the metal bars of the cage heat up, so you're scrambling to touch a cool surface, but you can find no respite in that hot hell that is this map. We push the particles hard, we push the lighting hard in this environment, we push the verticality and the map design hard. You know, the map is going to feature really cool mechanics down the road, like being able to hit certain levers and open up secret passageways or whatever that, raise certain parts of the map, or open jail cells, and there's we'll randomly generate some NPCs that could be in those jail cells. Maybe it's some humans, or maybe it's some orcs, or maybe it's some creature or something. Maybe they're crazy and they attack you, or maybe they're thankful that you set them free and they join your side or whatever. That's going to be the unique map mechanic for the Infernal Ward. I love in the south part of the map, there's like these conveyor belts that are pushing you towards these big lava cauldrons. You better get out of the way before you fall into the lava and instantly die. There's definitely a lot of cliff hazards on this map. But don't worry, everybody. I know what you're thinking. RTS, cliffs, people falling off, instant death. Don't worry, we are going to feature a soft collider system on cliffs. If you guys have ever played For Honor, you will know what I'm thinking of. Essentially, we'll have our cliffs. You cannot just have a unit fall off, like if they get close enough. Crowd control has to be applied to a unit directly next to a cliff in order for them to actually fall off. So you can't just accidentally walk off of a cliff. You're safe. Don't worry about it. It's not going to be that big of a pain in the ass. However, there is an effect in the game, for example, called a stumble, where if you get hit, your character is pushed backwards, and they're temporarily, like, it's kind of like a miniature stun that displaces you for like 1.5 seconds or something like that. And kicks can stumble units. So if somebody were to kick you and you were to stumble backward towards one of these cliffs that with an open back that leads into a pit of lava, guess what? You're getting kicked into the lava. So yeah, actually playing with environmental hazards is like a huge thing in Conquest of Eldinar, and I'm hoping that just makes the gameplay more unique and more exciting and more fun. Yeah, I mean, this map in particular took quite a while. I mean, this was the most unique thing that I've ever done in game development in the 5 years that I've been doing this. It was insane. It really challenged everything that I have learned when it comes to world design and level building. I've mostly done things that are that have to do with terrain and geography and natural kind of elements. Trees and hills and grass and dirt and rocks and whatnot. And there was a little bit of that on this map or whatever, but the vast majority of this map was completely inorganic. It was entirely, a metal infrastructure building. Like, pretty much every single prop in this environment that you were seeing was entirely handcrafted by me and our other 3D artist. Like, it was all handmade, and it took forever this month to get this thing done, but I'm really happy with how some of these assets look. I think they just have so much character, and they're gritty, and they have so much personality, and I think at the end of the day, this environment looks absolutely incredible, and that is due to the hard work of our artists here at Mythward. I will mention a few more implementations that we did this month. We also did an emote wheel, which is pretty exciting. You will be able to emote on players whenever you're controlling units or have your army perform those emotes. You can wave, you can laugh, you can roar, you can sit, you can dance on them. It will be super fun. Lots of little social features like that. We plan on implementing those in the game as well. We also implemented a weight system on our characters to ensure that when you're controlling a character, you can kind of push through a crowd or something like that. Or for example, the Magmafint is a very heavy character, and a footman can't just walk into a Magmafint and then push it, you know, off to the side, you know, rightfully so, right? Like, certain characters should be heavier and should take pathing priority over smaller characters. We also improved the AI a little bit, working on those play strategies, trying to get that difficulty high. We're deep in working on sound right now. Our new audio engineer has been working very hard on the game the past 2 months. We are making sure that the sound is extremely dynamic and has lots of layers and interesting things about it. Like, for example, we're making it so, like, if you move into the fog of war, the music becomes more distant and aloof, but then, like, once you move it into the main play space, then the audio comes into full swing again. So we're making a dynamic score where the peaceful and action tracks have the same tempo and the same beats, but, you know, our one is way more intense and one is way more calm. But because they have the same tempo, we can make it so it dynamically kind of turns into action music when the action starts, and then the music kind of calms down again when you're no longer in action. So really cool dynamic presence with our score. Last but not least, we've been making a lot of progress on the short film that we are making that is hopefully going to coincide with some of our releases later this year. I've mentioned it before, we are working on a short film called The Hatchling. This is an animated short film around the 15-minute mark that features the hero unit from the Chaturg faction, Vanash. You get to follow the origin of the character and learn a little bit about his history and his past, and see him start the road on how he eventually becomes the war chief of the Chaturg. This film is taking thousands of hours from very talented artists working very hard on this to bring this to life. Hey, Brenton, come here. How have you enjoyed working on The Hatchling so far?
I have loved every minute of it. Please help me. I adore this project, and I adore working at Mythward Entertainment.
Good boy. Get back to work. So yeah, you guys will get to watch that film later this year. It'll be great. All right, and I think that's about all we did these past 2 months. It has been a wild past 2 months, a wild past 3 months, to be honest. 2026 is the most crazy year for Mythward Entertainment yet. We are just making extreme progress, and we are so excited about it. And you know what? Let me put my money where my mouth is, folks. I am here to make a pledge today that guess what? Guess what? Drum roll, please. Hype me up, boys. Let's go. Yeah. PAX, September 2026. This year, let's go. That's right. We are returning to PAX this year with an even bigger booth than we had last time. We are going all in. This is going to be the most exciting expo and presentation of our game and its gameplay that we have ever had. It is going to be fantastic. Our booth is going to be tripped out. You can play the game there, and it's okay, because if you can't play the game at PAX, you can't see us in Seattle, that's okay. Go home, play the demo on your computer. That's right, we are releasing that demo on Steam this September.